Have you ever wondered why someone, seemingly having everything, still feels an intense sadness they can't shake off? Let's delve into a journey to understand an often misunderstood adversary: depression. Depression, contrary to popular belief, is not a character flaw or a sign of weakness. It's a common yet serious mood disorder. It's as real as any physical ailment, but its invisibility often leads to misconceptions. Depression affects how you feel, think, and handle daily activities. It is characterized by persistent feelings of sadness, hopelessness, and a lack of interest or pleasure in activities. It's like living under a cloud that obscures the colorfulness of life, making everything seem dull and gray. But how common is this invisible enemy, you might ask? Well, it's more prevalent than you might think. According to the World Health Organization, more than 300 million people of all ages suffer from depression globally. It doesn't discriminate. It can affect anyone at any age from any walk of life. In the United States alone, nearly 1 in 6 people will experience depression at some point in their life. This illustrates the magnitude of this issue and underlines the importance of understanding and addressing it. Depression not only affects the individuals suffering from it, but also their loved ones, their productivity, and society at large. It's a heavy burden, often resulting in a significant toll on a person's daily life, affecting both physical and mental health. Despite its prevalence and severe impact, depression is treatable. With the right help and support, individuals can manage their symptoms and improve their quality of life. So, it's time we stop dismissing depression as mere sadness or a temporary feeling. It's time we recognize it for what it truly is: a complex mental health disorder that needs our attention, understanding, and empathy. Depression is not just a temporary blue mood, it's a persistent feeling of sadness and loss of interest. So what triggers this profound sadness that leads to depression, you might be wondering? Well, the causes of depression are complex and multifaceted. It's usually a blend of genetic, biological, environmental, and psychological factors. Let's start with genetics. Some of us are born with a predisposition to depression. It runs in families, and research suggests that multiple genes interacting with one another in special ways probably contribute to the various types of depression that run in families. Yet not everyone with a genetic predisposition develops depression. It's like having a loaded gun, but it takes certain environmental triggers to pull the trigger. Now let's talk about the biological factors. Our brains are intricate networks of billions of cells called neurons, which communicate with each other through chemicals known as neurotransmitters. In people with depression, these neurotransmitters aren't always functioning properly, leading to a disruption in the communication between neurons. Environmental factors also play a significant role. Stressful life events or changes such as the loss of a loved one, a divorce, or job loss can trigger depression. Even positive changes like moving or graduating can induce stress and lead to depression. Lastly, psychological factors. People with certain personality traits are more prone to depression. If you are generally pessimistic, have low self-esteem, or are easily overwhelmed by stress, you might be more vulnerable to depression. It's important to remember that these factors don't work in isolation. They interplay in unique ways in each individual. For instance, you might have a genetic predisposition, but if you grow up in a nurturing environment, you might never develop depression. On the other hand, someone without a genetic predisposition but is exposed to severe stress might end up with depression. Depression is not a sign of weakness or a character flaw. It's a complex mental health disorder with various contributing factors. And here's the sobering truth: depression does not discriminate. It can affect anyone at any age, regardless of their background. How can we identify depression in ourselves or others? It's a pertinent question. When we think about depression, we often picture someone who is perpetually sad or crying, but it's much more complex than that. The signs can be subtle, often blending into the routine of our daily lives, making them difficult to recognize. Depression manifests itself in a plethora of ways, with symptoms ranging from mild to severe. It isn't just about feeling sad, it's about a persistent sense of melancholy, a loss of interest or pleasure in activities that once brought joy. It's about changes in appetite, where some may find themselves eating too little or too much. It's about trouble sleeping or sleeping too much and constantly feeling fatigued or drained of energy. But perhaps the most alarming symptom is the presence of thoughts about death or suicide. These are signs that should never be ignored. They are a silent cry for help, a desperate plea for understanding and support. It's important to remember that these symptoms must be persistent, lasting for at least 2 weeks. and they must interfere with work, school, or relationships to be considered signs of depression. Depression is more than just a bout of the blues. It's a complex condition with varied symptoms. Recognizing these signs is the first step towards understanding and helping those who are battling this invisible enemy. How long does this invisible enemy, depression, tend to stay? Now that's a question with no straightforward answer. You see, the duration of depression varies greatly from person to person. For some, it might be a matter of weeks. For others, it could stretch into months or even years. Imagine a cold, dark winter that seems to last forever. That's depression for you. Just as winter varies in length and intensity, so does depression. It's an individual experience, unique to each person. One crucial thing to remember is that depression isn't just a one-and-done kind of deal. It's more akin to a long-term battle, an ongoing struggle. It's like climbing a mountain where the peak is often shrouded in fog. You can't always see where you're going, but you keep pressing on, hoping for the clearing skies. So remember, depression is not a one-time event, but a long-term battle. Scene script. Is there a light at the end of this dark tunnel of depression? Indeed there is. The road to recovery may seem long and arduous, but it's important to remember that depression, like any other health condition, can be treated and managed effectively. Let's delve into the ways to combat this invisible enemy. First on the list is medication. Antidepressants are often used to treat depression. They work by balancing chemicals in your brain called neurotransmitters that affect mood and emotions. It's crucial to understand that these aren't happy pills. They don't magically erase the pain, but they can help ease the symptoms, making it easier for you to function and paving the way for other forms of treatment. Next, we have psychotherapy or talk therapy. This involves meeting with a mental health professional to learn skills to cope with the negative feelings associated with depression. Cognitive behavioral therapy, interpersonal therapy, and problem-solving therapy are among the commonly used types. These therapies provide tools and insights that empower you to deal with life's challenges in healthier ways. Lifestyle changes can also play a significant role in managing depression. Regular physical exercise can stimulate chemicals in your brain that lift your mood and provide a sense of well-being. A balanced diet and sufficient sleep can also significantly impact your mood and energy levels. Mindfulness and relaxation techniques can help manage stress, a common trigger for depressive episodes. Let's not forget the importance of social support. Connecting with supportive and understanding people can help you feel better. This could be family, friends, support groups, or online communities. They can provide a safe space to share experiences, seek advice, or simply find comfort in knowing you're not alone. Lastly, in more severe cases, other treatments may be considered, such as electroconvulsive therapy or transcranial magnetic stimulation. These treatments use electrical or magnetic fields to stimulate nerve cells in the brain, improving symptoms of depression. Remember, everyone's journey with depression is unique, and what works for one person may not work for another. It's essential to work with a healthcare provider to find the most effective treatment plan for you. Depression is not a sign of weakness, nor is it something that can be overcome through willpower alone. It's a medical condition that requires understanding and medical care.